Hello to all my friends out there. How are you guys? Well, I want to move in a different direction. You know, there's these wars, and you know, they're saying there's going to be job loss, massive job loss. And you know, we see homeless. We're seeing people in wars and displaced in wars. And I thought, wow, this is troublesome. Some of these people I see out here on the streets, I have to wonder if they're going to survive. It's not looking good. So let's say I lost my house, I lost my stockpile, and I didn't have much money, if any money. Could I survive? And I thought, wow, you know, what could I do? Well, I started doing a search, looking back on history, and I thought, I think I'm on to something. So I'm just going to go in the order that I looked it up. And knowing what I know, and probably some of you out there know a lot more, we'll see what we come up with by the end of the video. So I was watching these reports that there's going to be vitamin B deficiencies when there's not enough meat. And I thought, yeah, I could see that. So let's look back in history. So the first ones I looked up were Egyptians. What did the Egyptians eat back in, you know, in the Egyptian times? They ate bread and beer. And I thought, yeah, that kind of makes sense. So we want to make sure we can make bread somehow. It doesn't have to be complicated. Here is some cornbread I made. So, and white bread, wheat bread. Okay, so bread, and then they ate vegetables and fruit. The vegetables were onion, garlic, lettuce, cucumbers, carrots, and celery. Okay, I grow celery very easily. So we want to start growing food in the house so nothing happens to our food. I'm not going in my yard much because there was a vandal out there. Okay, so let's see, chickpeas, beans, and lentils. So at this time, we can still buy at least a pound of chickpeas, beans, and lentils for $1. That's going to last us for a while. Fruits were raisins, figs, and dates, so dried fruit. And I made raisin bread a lot, so, you know, and then honey. So bread, vegetables, fruits, and honey. That's a good place to start. You can still buy a big container of honey, very reasonable. So what I want to do is move into a little bit different way of buying and storing food. Okay, then I said, what about the Middle Ages? Bread and cereal. Barley, oats, and rye. So we go back to grains, which is what they're predicting would be a shortage. But they're also predicting that food might double, especially meat. Okay, so barley, oats, rye, rice and potatoes, soup with meat, vegetables, and bran, and I assume bread. So that kind of gives us an idea. So I have stockpiled a lot of cans, but I want to move away from that and go more into these foods, meat, rice, potatoes, and barley. Okay, now the 17th century. So we see this repeating: bread, beans, peas, and lentils. And then by the 17th century, we get buttermilk, cheese, and curds and whey. So if you have soy milk, you can make your own soy or soy milk, and you can drink the water like curds and wheys. Or if you have whole milk, you can make cheese. So we can still get that, and we're in a pretty prosperous condition right now. Like right now, I thought, what is this really saying when you can just go to the store and buy anything you might possibly want? That's just saying that it's not going to be like this forever, maybe, with any luck, maybe. But we want to have some idea. So right now I can buy powdered buttermilk. I can buy shelf-stable milk and evaporated milk, so that is what I want to store. So we're going over and over bread, vegetables, dry fruit, honey, cereal, potatoes, and now cheese. Okay, now the colonists. What do the colonists, that's the colonies, the 17th, the colonies, you know, the U.S. colonists, corn, wheat, rice, barley, oats, squash, pumpkins, beans, and salt pork, pretty much the same. Cornmeal is very important if you have to eat beans. Okay, so now here with the colonists, we have salt pork. Okay, now I looked up New England. They added salmon, eggs, green peas, and potatoes. Right now, I can still get nice cans of salmon for $3. So I wouldn't want to stockpile up salmon rather than little 5-ounce cans of tuna. Okay, early Mexico. Corn, beans, squash, tomatoes, peppers, rice, and olives. Okay, when we get to the squash, tomatoes, peppers, rice, and olives, that actually came, I think, from the Spanish. But it's still good. Here we see they add tomatoes and peppers. Peppers are really easy to grow indoors. And then, you know, olive oil. They're predicting we're going to run out of lard. Okay, now I looked up the American slaves. Cornmeal, lard, molasses, peas, greens, and flour. So they had bread. Peanuts. So right now we can still get peanuts pretty cheap in the shell. Yams, dried beans, herring. So we can still get very reasonable cans of herring and cans of salmon. So if you have peanuts and you have fish, that's going to give you a complete amino acid. Peanuts, yams, dried beans, herrings, clams, and oysters. Okay, those are a good thing because then you can make clam and oyster stew. What I do is, and you've already, you know, we have potatoes. You can have oyster and clam stew. I just make potato soup and I add clams or oysters, and you can make a lot. And then if you have some bread, and then if you had some butter, that would be super duper. And then if you had some honey, that would really be super duper. So this isn't a very impressive list, but let me give it to you anyway. So I am going to be giving this matter some thought. You know, I think what we have on our hands is learned helplessness. So the only way to unlearn it is just like we learned it. Okay, I want to mention something to you. Back here I have a mint plant, so I'm going to have tea. This is oregano and this is basil. So if I have tomatoes, I can make some decent tomato sauce. And then with these celeries, I could just eat them, or else I could chop them up and put them in some beans with some onions. So I'm going to be thinking about this. I think this is a better approach to the stockpile. You know, just imagine you're in one of these countries facing a war. You need water. So let's see, I wrote down, what did I write? Okay, food, well, water, food, cash, so you can get out of somewhere if it's dangerous, gas, and heat. So for the heat, you need propane. You need a propane heater and, you know, maybe some kind of camp stove. So that is very important. What else? Also, I wanted to mention salt pork, biscuits. So cornbread and biscuits. Biscuits you can make in a cast iron skillet. So, okay, so we know we might run out of lard, and not too far in the future, because your lard is going to give you that essential amino acid better than like Crisco. So, of all the canned vegetables, you would want to store tomatoes in its own juice, because then you could make salsa if you had peppers. You could make tomato sauce if you had some basil and some oregano. You could make some spaghetti. And then you could also put it in chili. And you can make tomato soup if you get the tomatoes in its own juice. So, you guys, I will see you soon. We're going to be moving in a different direction. And God bless you all.